19 people have died as the massive snowstorm on the east coast of the United States begins to wind down. The port of Calais is forced to close after migrants breach security and make their way onto ferries. And Donald Trump competes in Iowa polls and says he could shoot someone and not lose support. Hello and welcome to I-24 News. I'm David Matlin. Well, the massive blizzard that claimed at least 19 lives in the eastern United States finally appeared to be winding down today, giving residents the chance to begin digging out. The near-record snowstorm slammed the eastern United States Friday and Saturday, affecting some 85 million residents. ABC News has more.
Tonight, millions of Americans in the Northeast still socked in from a crippling snowstorm.
Didn't expect to be caught in the middle of Snowzilla.
Even the D.C. police chief stepping in to shovel out stuck patrol cars. So much snow, the plows can't keep up. At the Jersey Shore, roads flooding with chunks of ice floating by and water levels reaching 8 feet. Governor Chris Christie praising residents who heeded the early warning to evacuate.
This is my 17th snow emergency in 6 years. So we know how to do this.
Further west in Pittsburgh.
It's just been one after another truck stuck. It's just nonstop, and it don't seem like we're getting anywhere, to be honest.
The Pennsylvania Turnpike turned into a long, stalled snake. Many commuters spending 15 hours in their frigid cars.
We haven't had any food since yesterday.
In New York City, a full travel ban, bridges and tunnels closed. With virtually no cars on the streets, people are walking right down the middle. So far, 3 people have died from shoveling snow here. As you can see, over 25 inches of snow have fallen here in the city alone. The good news is that it's beginning to taper off, and the travel ban could be lifted as early as tomorrow morning.
In other news, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas came out on Saturday against Palestinian groups he said were encouraging youth to take part in an almost 4-month-long surge of violence with Israel. Abbas condemned the recent wave of violence and warned that people involved would be arrested.
All the nation and the political parties support the national uprising, but we support the peaceful national uprising. Anyone who wants to act against security using explosions, weapons, or creating cells in any place will be arrested, no matter where he is going. Security measures have been taken following my orders.
A debate over arming teachers has surged in Pakistan once more, days after a professor opened fire on the Taliban gunman who stormed the university campus where he worked. Teachers there had been given permission to carry firearms. The next report has more.
Headmaster Naveed Gul is part of a new breed of teachers in Pakistan. He carries a gun to school.
This is an M20 pistol. It's made in China and it works perfectly.
His establishment is in Peshawar, where a school was attacked in 2014 by Taliban gunmen who killed over 150 people, most of them children. Since then, the threat is very much present on everyone's mind.
God forbid, if a terrorist were to come, and I'm sitting here and I know, I will automatically take out my pistol and then I'll go in front. So for sure, he will also fire at me. So if I take cover from here, I can fire with a sharp mind.
Just over a year later, history repeated itself when 4 militants stormed a university some 30 kilometers away. But this time, armed guards retaliated, and so did a teacher. Syed Hamid Hussein, a 33-year-old assistant chemistry professor, pulled out a gun, faced his attackers, and opened fire. He was one of 21 victims of that attack, leaving 2 young children fatherless.
The situation of our country is such that everybody sees it and thinks about what they can do about it. So he was inspired too, thinking what should he do? Whatever he does, he should do it for Pakistan's government. He was really devoted to Pakistan.
Here in the northwestern Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, guns are in the blood of the ethnic Pashtun majority. After the Peshawar school massacre, the local government granted teachers their request to carry firearms to school, despite critics who argue this shouldn't be their responsibility.
Let me tell you, there are 68,000 educational institutions in the province, and we have 55,000 policemen. So even if we deploy one for each establishment, that can't be done.
In a province plagued by more than a decade of terrorism, students are well aware of the risks they face every day.
We will get our knowledge at any cost. We will definitely fight against the terrorists.
When they come, then our teacher will attack them. We are not scared of anybody.
Taliban have long targeted education in Pakistan, and the faction which claimed the university attack has vowed to keep hitting schools and students. But despite the threat, these voices are determined not to be silenced.
Well, the French port of Calais was forced to close after around 50 migrants reportedly made their way onto a ferry. The ferry company's chief executive said that it was just one in a recent string of incidents and that the migrant mayhem in and around Calais is not being tackled. Tamara Ziv reports.
The port of Calais in northern France was forced to temporarily close on Saturday when some 200 refugees broke in. The commotion followed a demonstration of support for migrants living in a slum nearby, also known as the Jungle. According to the Deputy Calais Prefect, Denise Godin, the demonstration drew around 2,000 people, and about 200 eventually managed to enter the port, with approximately 50 of them boarding a ferry, the Spirit of Britain, on an external deck. MS Spirit of Britain is a cross-channel ferry operated by P&O Ferries. The port reopened a couple of hours later. Thousands of refugees fleeing war and poverty in Africa and the Middle East have gathered over the past year in the vast slum near Calais, using it as a stopover point before trying to smuggle their way across to Britain in the hope of a better life.
The immigrants have big problems here because the jungle is for animals, but here is leaving the human here. It's a big problem for us. They have to take a solution for these immigrants people because they have a big problems here for the living area and also the medicine problem, medical problem is here.
We cannot let the situation here continue. These people are living in unacceptable conditions. I call on French Prime Minister Manuel Valls, on Interior Minister Bernard Cazeneuve, to do whatever is necessary to fix the situation. And in the first place, that the people here have acceptable living conditions. Housing, proper food, but above all clothing, because these conditions are really inadmissible.
Visitors to the so-called jungle on Saturday included Britain's Labour Party leader Jeremy Corbyn, who said he wanted to see the conditions there firsthand. Calais is just a 90 minutes hop across the Channel from Dover in southern England and used to be a popular stop for British holidaymakers seeking to take a short break across the Channel. But since the migrant crisis went into overdrive last year, thousands of refugees have found themselves trapped in a grim shantytown on the edge of Calais as they desperately tried to sneak across the short stretch of sea.
Well, U.S. Republican frontrunner Donald Trump expressed confidence Saturday that he could push back attempts by his rivals to knock him off his top perch, saying he could stand on New York's Fifth Avenue and shoot people, and he wouldn't lose voters. 9 days from the first nominating contest in Iowa, however, it was Republican rival Marco Rubio who won the endorsement of the Des Moines Register, the state's biggest and most influential newspaper.
My people are so smart. And you know what else they say about my people? The polls. They say, I have the most loyal people. Did you ever see that? Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible. I don't have people speaking in my ear and telling me like, oh, you shouldn't say this, you shouldn't say that. All of these different people. I don't have lobbyists with me. I know the lobbyists. I mean, I've used the lobbyists. I mean, I've done very well with lobbyists. But believe me, they control your candidates. And special interests, they control your candidates. But I've turned down millions and millions of dollars. I feel foolish actually doing it. You want to know the truth? I said, no, I don't want your $5 million. No, don't give me $2 million. I go back to, it's just not my way of life. I always was like, hey, I have to say this. I was very greedy. Now I'm going to be greedy for the country. We have to take in money. Greedy for the country. Because we have very stupid people running our country. You know, when you look at these deals, they're very stupid. I used to say they're very incompetent, but they're really beyond. I think stupid's a better word. You know?
And that's all for the top stories here at I-24 News, brought to you from the Jaffa Port in Israel. Thanks for joining us.